Hey, hey, hey. Happy Wednesday. Come on in, pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, 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 gang. Welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host, here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by, incredibly enough, thegaminggang.com, of which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief. So welcome aboard. Tonight is Wednesday, October 12th, 2022. This is live stream 838. In case you've never visited with us before, let me point out, super casual around here. Just hanging out, talking about the latest in tabletop gaming news. And normally, we'll actually take a first look at a game. Now, this month, I have been sharing a lot of reviews on the live stream. And they're all role-playing games because there's a lot going on for the month of October. So, and I'll talk about that a little bit after we finish up with the news. Anyway, tonight, I am going to be diving on into Call of Cthulhu, Cults of Cthulhu, and providing my review as well as a bit of a page through to this tome devoted to the Cthulhu cult. So we are going to jump on into this in just a bit. Of course, if you're not overly familiar with this stream, let me point out, we will start off with the tabletop gaming news. So it'll be about 35 minutes or so before we dive on into the review. So if you're watching live, just kick back, relax, put your feet up, hang out with the gang. But if you're watching 30 minutes or more after the stream ends, then you actually have the option of jumping past the tabletop gaming news. Although we've got some cool news tonight, you might not want to jump past it. Anyway, you'll find we've got timestamps throughout the show notes. So you can click on a timestamp and jump ahead, or depending on the device you happen to be watching this on, actually be right there in the timeline of the video, so you can just click on it that way as well. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more that you won't find here on the YouTube channel. Of course, you know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Yes. And this is live stream. So that means there is chat available. It's not on screen. It's one of the ways I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. And you must be a subscriber to the channel for at least 48 hours before you can take part in chat. Yet another way that I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. But if you want to say howdy, maybe you've got a question, a comment, by all means, chime in. I will do my best to respond. So, first out the gate tonight is Coco B. She heard the call. I shouldn't say she, he. Sorry about that, Coco. He heard the call of Cthulhu and is interested in Cults of Cthulhu. We're going to jump on into that in just a bit. Deja Vu is with us. Wow, it's like a case of Deja. You know what I mean. Kevin R. Smith, good to see you, Kevin. Actually, I've got a question for Kevin. Kathy Evans, Tessie Trekkie is with us as well. And Flaming Huron is hanging out. He is one of our chat moderators over in Australia. So welcome, welcome, welcome. So the question I have for Kevin, we talked about this a little bit yesterday, was Goodman Games was pulling the plug on their original Adventures Reincarnated lineup. I cannot find an official statement from the company about it. I had heard that through kind of the grapevine, and then I was looking today. I didn't spend tons of time. I spent about 5 minutes trying to find some information about it. I ran across nothing. So, Kevin, if you have an opportunity in chat, shoot me an email, or even, in chat, you can mention where you ran across that. Maybe there's a link or something I can take a peek at, because I'm kind of curious about it. Because, yes, I heard that they were discontinuing the lineup. I don't know. I have no idea. All righty then. So let's jump on into the news, because I've got an eclectic mix for us tonight. Because making its way into stores next month from Adams Apple Games is Four Humors. Here's the scoop. In Four Humors, you're a doctor in medieval times. In medieval times, not at medieval times. And everyone knows that your personality is determined by an imbalance of your bodily fluids, aka the four humors. There's caloric, yellow bile; goal-oriented, decisive, ambitious; sanguine, red blood; talkative, enthusiastic, social — that's probably me; melancholic, black bile; analytical, detail-oriented, reserved; and phlegmatic, white phlegm; relaxed, peaceful, easygoing. The kingdom, composed of 6 map tiles with various locations, is filled with all types of personalities, from caloric sorcerers to phlegmatic peasants. Prove you're the best medieval doctor by visiting citizens throughout the kingdom so they can live out their life's ambitions, or lack thereof. Each turn, you play a personality potion from your hand onto a citizen on a scene card to determine that citizen's personality. Each citizen can have one of 2 potion types played onto it, and you can play each token face down, so you know the personality of the citizen, but none of the other players do. Once all citizens on 2 of the scene cards are covered with potions, all potions are resolved in the following order. A lone cleric wins, whereas 2 or more are discarded, after which 2 or more sanguines win, whereas a single one is discarded, after which exactly 2 melancholics win, whereas more than 2 are discarded and a single one sneaks away, after which any number of phlegmatics win. Got all that? There's a quiz coming up later on. Place winning potions on the corresponding scene in the kingdom. If a melancholic token sneaks away, place the potion on an adjacent scene connected by a path or bridge. After all potions have been placed, see whether you've completed any of the 4 randomized goals on display, such as having a potion on each of the 6 map tiles, or occupying 2 pairs of locations that are connected by bridges. Then reveal 4 new scene cards and begin another round. When a player completes an objective, the first party tile is resolved. Party tiles are similar to scenes with citizens, but they are available to play onto on your turn at any point in the game. Once the players at the table have completed 6 total objectives, the last party tile is resolved and the game ends. And of course, the player with the most objectives completed wins. Alternatively, instead of using a shared kingdom board, you can play in fiefdom mode, with each player having their own fiefdom board. After resolving scene cards, players place their winning personality potion covering a matching character in their fiefdom. The objectives now encourage you to cover all characters of certain types or to create a specific pattern within your fiefdom. Four Humors is for 1 to 6 players, ages 10 and up, plays in around 45 minutes. It will carry an MSRP of $39 when it arrives on November 2nd. This sounds interesting, I have to admit. Does seem a little fiddly, maybe. but it does sound kind of cool. And I like the concept that you're medieval doctors and you're dealing with the four humors, which I always kind of got a kick out of how strangely these doctors thought that we had all these different colored biles in us and stuff. Kevin mentions that he saw the announcement on a YouTube video, or they saw it in a YouTube video title, but they didn't have time to watch it. That's kind of weird. I'm trying to remember. The funny thing is, I could have swore I saw it in like an article title, but I didn't click on it. You know how you do that. You're online and you're like, that title, I see that headline. They're like, but then you don't actually click on it, read it. Dusty Trekkie is with us in chat, as is Stray Kismet, and William Hell Has Eyes is popping on in, joining us in chat on a happy hump day. Sweet. Moving right along, my good buddy Herman Luttman's latest wargame design is now shipping from Tiny Battle Publishing. Here's the skinny on The Hill of Death. The Hill of Death is the first game in the new Shattered Union American Civil War series by Tiny Battle Publishing. The series is designed to be accessible and fast playing, suitable for gamers of any experience level. It is based firmly within the core design philosophy of the Blind Swords and Black Swan systems, but will focus on more obscure or overlooked battles and campaigns, including some fictional what-if battles that could have occurred during the war. The entire series is governed by one relatively simple set of standard series rules, which are altered in each game by a few game module-specific rules. Heavily influenced by his popular A Most Fearful Sacrifice, Herm Luttman's, I guess that's how Mark H. Walker refers to Herman. I always call him Herman. Herm Luttman's Shattered Union series is a new line of American Civil War wargames designed to be accessible to gamers of any experience level. The series aims to provide not only a playable wargame experience in about 3 hours, but also to produce a realistic simulation of a 19th century battlefield. The Hill of Death is the first module in the Shattered Union series. The game covers the entire Battle of Champion Hill. This critical engagement was fought just outside of Vicksburg, Mississippi on May 16th, 1863, between the Union Army of the Tennessee under Major General Ulysses S. Grant and the Confederate Army of Vicksburg under Lieutenant General John C. Pemberton. The Hill of Death is for 2 players, ages 9 and up. Sounds a little low for a war game. I would probably say 12 and up. Plays in around 3 hours and carries an MSRP of $55. There you have it. The latest from my pal Herman Luttman. I gotta say, I am eagerly awaiting his Plum Island game from GMT Games. Yes, it's a horror game. Yeah. And of course, can't talk about Herman Luttman and it being October without mentioning Dawn of the Zeds. So, there you have it. Kevin mentions they found the video about Goodman Games. Apparently what's going on is Goodman Games is now only selling Original Adventures Reincarnated products on Amazon instead of directly from their own site. That's kind of strange. I don't know. It's kind of weird. Well, maybe they're doing some like drop shipping. That could be it. Maybe they're just sending, shipments to Amazon and like, yeah, okay, you fulfill it. It's just, we don't want to have to deal with it anymore. I don't know. Kind of strange. Boris is with us in chat. So if you're wondering if I'm going to get a chance to take a peek at the Hill of Death, I don't know. I am, yes, I really have not heard from Mark H. Walker in a while. So, don't know. And it's been a while since I've seen anything from Tiny Battle Publishing or, for that matter, Flying Pig Games. So, I could not tell you. On to our next news piece. Currently, there's a crowdfunding project running to finance a double dose of Shiver role-playing game action. And here's the deets from Parable Games. Longtime horror veteran, or perhaps a lover of more classic blockbuster cinema? In this launch, we have two different Shiver starter sets available for you to choose from. Shiver Slasher and Shiver Blockbuster. These starter boxes contain everything you need to get started with playing Shiver. Both sets include a Shiver starter rule book with all the essential rules you'll need to start playing, you guessed it, Shiver, as both a player and director, the game master, with a gorgeous alternate cover, a set of dice to get rolling on your Shiver adventure, a genre-specific story for you to get started playing with, a set of pre-filled character sheets for your specific story, and a gorgeous themed box to store it all in. Which story you receive will depend on your choice, blockbuster or slasher. That wouldn't be a Shiver release without a dose of scares, and this side of the double feature delivers just that. Shiver Slasher pays homage to the unstoppable and incredibly varied antagonists that make up its namesake. The first dose of this deadly genre comes in the exclusive Slasher starter box story, Return to Camp Blood. It's the 1970s, a decade after a mysterious slasher carved their way through a summer camp. The only survivor and heroic final girl of this incident has reopened the site, determined to give the kids a better holiday than she had. The dead don't rest easy, however, and this sequel is going to get bloody fast. For those who'd like their Shiver with the horror toned down and the excitement and action turned up to the max, then this half of the double feature is for you, and that is the Shiver Blockbuster, which brings all the big screen excitement you know and love from your favorite box office record-breaking releases. The first of this cinematic spectacle comes in the exclusive Blockbuster starter box story, Welcome to Hollow World. Invited by a tech billionaire to help approve their new ambitious project, you are one of the first guests to visit the Hollow World, a subterranean biome filled with resurrected prehistoric creatures. It seems like a dream come true. That is, until your tour goes off the rails and things quickly move from dream to nightmare. There is a short Kickstarter video. It's a little more than a minute. So let's take a peek at the Shiver double feature.
Good evening, folks. Welcome to our drive-in. Tonight we have a treat for you. Parable Games presents Shiver Double Feature. Bring movie night to the tabletop with this cinema double helping. Want to play your favorite big-budget movies? Shiver Blockbuster will give you your fill of monsters, peril, heroics, and much, much more. In the mood for something darker? Shiver Slasher cuts right to the chase. Run for your life, unmask the killer, and try not to die in these grisly tales of murder most foul. New to Shiver? Then this is the perfect time to start. Blockbuster and Slasher both come as brand new starter boxes with everything you need to start playing. Survive a trip to a dinosaur reserve, or uncover the horrors of Camp Blood as an infamous killer comes back from the dead. For our Shiver regulars, we've rolled out the red carpet with 2 new expansion books, each with expanded rules and brand new stories to tuck into. They're sure to be the movie event of the season. That's all from me, folks, so sit back and enjoy the show. It's gonna be a scream.
This Game Found project is already fully funded, and you can reserve a copy of either of the box sets for a $44.33 pledge. Yes, Parable Games is out of the UK. Or you can grab both together for an $88.68 pledge through November 10th. I got to be honest, I do not know why your pledge for both of them together is actually 2 cents more than it should be. I don't know what to tell you. You can pledge through November 10th, and expected delivery is December of next year. I know you were thinking I was going to say this December. Ha ha ha. But no. Flaming Heron points out Shiver is currently on sale over on DriveThruRPG at the moment. It is part of the Creature Feature sale. It is 33% off. And I believe you only have a day left on that. Maybe a little more than a day left on that Creature Feature sale. And then I will have to assume we are going to get into our trick or treats on the One Bookshelf sites. So that usually runs a couple of weeks, a little more than a couple of weeks through Halloween. So, of course, as always, I will do my research, track down the little scavenger hunt items, and tell you what you'll be able to find over on the One Bookshelf sites. So I have to mention, we were talking about Shiver Gothic the other day. And I know there's a couple of comments about the art style of this. This art style really reminds me of Mike Mignola, the artist who created Hellboy. If you're familiar with that, it's got kind of that Hellboy vibe to it. Anyway, the fine folks over at Parable Games happen to see the news piece and the news item on the video, and they're actually going to send me the Shiver box set and a set of Shiver dice. So we're going to actually be reviewing this in the near future. I'm not sure when we'll see it because, of course, it may be coming from the UK. I can't tell you for sure. But I thought, hey, that's kind of cool. That's pretty cool. All right, so Boris is with us. Viper Dave has popped into chat, as has Doug Roberts. I think I've said hello to everybody in chat. If I've missed you somehow, I apologize. You know, I always try to say hello to everybody. Moving right along, there is a new mini supplement which has arrived in PDF for Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. Here's the latest on the Warband of Bale Many Eyes. Pillaging bands of chaos warriors pose a constant and terrible threat to those living closest to the frozen north. Whilst all these reavers are to be feared, the warriors of chaos who devote themselves to the plague god Nurgle are particularly loathsome, for they are not satisfied to merely ravage and kill, but delight in spreading blight and disease in the name of their pestilent deity. The Warband of Bale of Many Eyes is an 18-page PDF which continues a series describing various tribes, warbands, and groups of roving troublemakers. In a world perspective is provided as well. Old Weird's Incunabulum, I swear it's Incunabulum, or something along those lines, provides an example of how learned people in the old world think about worshippers of Nurgle. Old Weird is an eccentric academic whose views may be considered rather too liberal by the authorities, but he does provide an example of the sort of knowledge available to characters interested in researching the subject. Templates for adding variety to Chaos Warriors is included, along with game information for personalities from the Warband. You'll also find templates for Chosen and Forsaken Chaos Warriors, Exalted Heroes, Chaos Lords, and Chaos Sorcerers. These can be used to advance the Chaos Warrior profile found in the Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay Rulebook. There's also a guide to Bale's Warband, a particular group of Chaos Warriors devoted to Nurgle who are on a mysterious quest, the implications of which even their leader fails to understand. Ideas for how their mission might result in adventures and encounters are provided, as well as 4 example members of the warband made using the templates. The 18-page PDF is available right now over at DriveThruRPG for $3.99. Sweet. I always love me my Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay stuff. I'm a fan. I like it. I should point out I'm digging around here because Empire in Ruins arrived. Yes. So we are going to be digging on into this very shortly. And the Empire in Ruins companion has arrived as well. So I still have my review of the Horned Rat companion to share. And then we will jump on into Empire in Ruin, which is the finale of the Enemy Within campaign, which I have just had a blast with. It is so much fun. And Graham Davis has done a wonderful job in reimagining it for a director's cut. And of course, Enemy in Ruins is a completely different finale than the original campaign, because a lot of gamers felt that campaign kind of fizzled at the end. All righty then, final news piece. Axian Spice has released the zine compilation Axian Library in print and PDF. Here's the skinny. Axian Library is a collection of 5 zines for old school essentials and other old school systems, featuring optional rules and dozens of tables to enhance your game. It includes Wondrous Weavings Warped and Weird, an alternate arcane magic system inspired by how magic works in the stories by Jack Vance and Fritz Leiber. More than a little inspiration comes from fairy tales and folklore too. Includes ritual casting, a Vancian system with built-in risk-reward mechanisms, and 200 magical mishaps, and a heap of arcane wonders for your game. There's Mysteriously Missing and Merrily Met, a set of optional tables to answer the question, where have you been? For when a player misses a session, explaining where their character has been and what they've been doing, with 3 different types of situations. Last seen in town, last seen in the wilderness, and last seen in the dungeon. There's Notable Novices and Notorious Newcomers, a set of 3 optional tables, Who Are You?, which gives a reason why the party quickly welcomes a new party member, such as when a replacement character is rolled mid-session. What's Your Story?, which provides the previous adventuring career of a freshly rolled character that is level 2 or higher. And the Looted Items table, providing the magic items they've looted during such adventures, and has different columns based on character class. There's Pious Prayers and Powerful Prodigies, an alternate divine magic system inspired by ancient and medieval religious traditions, complete with optional rules for prayers, magical research, scrolls, and religious rituals, and an integrated system of divine disappointment and wrath. So disappointing. Including tables with curses and quests divine casters might have to face to please their deities. And then there is Deadly Dragons Dire and Daunting, a host of tables and tools to make each dragon unique. Their physical features and appearance, powers, secret weaknesses, interesting treasure hoard with its own backstory, lair peculiarities, motivations, fears and desires, enemies and allies, and quests and hooks involving the beast. The 136-page digest-sized Axian Library hardcover is available over at DriveThruRPG for $16.99, which currently includes the PDF, or you can just grab the PDF alone for $9.99. Very nice. And you may recall, as I'm trying to grab this stuff, I've been working on the 50/50 sale, so I should point that out. Yes, when I go full screen again, you'll probably noticed things are a little different behind me, even though it's, intentionally out of focus. But hey, I've got Axian Library right here. That's right. Yes. In fact, ta-da! I showed this off real quickly. I happened to show it like this the other night, and then I was like, wait a second. Did I even do a news piece for it? Like, let me take a look. And I'm like, oh no, I did another news piece for Axian Spice about, I want to say it was an adventure that they had released. So we'll be taking a peek at this too. And it is for Old School Essentials and other OSR games as well. All righty, that is it for the news tonight. Of course, I've been talking about DriveThruRPG. Don't forget, the Gaming Gang, thus the Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you are going to visit DriveThruRPG, Dungeon Masters Guild, Storyteller's Vault, what have you, please stop by thegaminggang.com first, click on one of our ads, and if you happen to make a purchase, I get a small portion of that sale. All those nickels, dimes, and quarters really do add up and help keep the Gaming Gang around. Gaminggang.com, that is. And of course, if you like this video, besides smashing the like button, maybe you happen to feel that this channel is a lot of fun, or thegaminggang.com is a valuable resource, or hell, maybe just dig what we do, you can always stop by paypal.me/thegaminggang and making a small donation. And thankfully, a lot of people out there use either or both. They use the banner ads that go to the drive-through sites, or swing over to paypal.me. In fact, the madman who is gaming tonight, usually he would be with us hanging out as one of our other chat moderators, just stopped by and made a not so small donation. So big thank you to him for that. All right. So that's it for the news tonight. We're going to jump on in to my review of Cults of Cthulhu for Call of Cthulhu in just a few moments. But I did want to mention a couple of things. So on Friday, you will find the 900th, well, I was going to say video review. It's not video review. It's just the 900th review from the Gaming Gang. And it was going to be Original Adventures Reincarnated Volume 6. Yes, the Temple of Elemental Evil, or as I like to say, evil. And then I decided, you know what? Review number 900 is a big deal. I mean, it's a milestone. It really, really is. And absolutely nothing against Goodman Games and the OAR series and things like that. But it's not as if Goodman Games, sends me review copies of stuff and things like that. So I decided I wanted to share a review of something that is near and dear to my heart from a company that I really, really appreciate and who is always on my side, have been for years now. So it is Chaosium Inc. So we are going to be taking a look at one of their products tonight, but I am actually going to share on Friday my review of the Call of Cthulhu box set, which you may recall I did a first look at and did a bit of a page through. And this is sort of a collector's item. This isn't necessarily, just a game release. It's like, oh, well, pick up the first edition of Call of Cthulhu. But we're going to take a peek at this. I'm going to dive in and I'm going to review it and tell you what I think. And if you're a fan of Call of Cthulhu, if this should be part of your collection or not. I will tell you that it is a slamming deal for the amount of content that is included in here. And even though we're on the 7th edition of Call of Cthulhu, the rule systems are not radically different. Of course, things have changed, of course, but there's enough gaming content in that box to last you years. So you can take that into the equation of what I'm going to think of it. All right. So just wanted to share that as well. So Doug Roberts is like, you're welcome, Jeff. It's no problem. Oh, you didn't mean me. No, I didn't, Doug. I didn't mean you. All righty then. So that's going to be Friday's review. So stay tuned for that. It'll be I do long videos anyway. It'll be a fairly long video because there's a lot inside it. And a lot of the review is just going to be me kind of reminiscing about the items that are inside because I owned all of them and I ran a ton of them. So, all right. So we're going to do the review in just a moment. But first, I think it's time for a brief intermission.
How do you like your pizza? Gobbled? Nibbled? Two-fisted style. You like ours best anyway. A crisp, delicate crust, topped with our own special nippy tomato sauce, seasoned just the way you like it, and lots of golden Italian cheese melted right in. Delicious, and on sale now at the Refreshment Center. Pizza, piping hot and tangy. How about some right now?
Wilkins Coffee's good coffee.
Boy, what a bad commercial.
The commercial may be bad, but the coffee's wonderful.
Here's why people like you like Drury's best. Flavor in, sweetness out. Drury's beer is wonderful. Big tea time is fun time. Drury's time is fun time. You'll shout for that big tea fun and laughter. Fun, fun. Here's why people like you like Drury's best. The flavor's great, no doubt of it. Sweetness is brewed out of it. Drury's beer. You'll shout for that big tea fun and laughter. No full feeling after. More flavor, less filling, more fun.
Wonkins lives. Although, yes, he is stuffed into a can of coffee. He does live, at least for a short time before he runs out of air. And what's up with that kid double fisting pizza? That's from the 50s. You know damn well one of his parents saw him doing that. He'd get belted upside the head. Kevin asks, beer ads were at drive-ins in the 50s? No, I have been throwing in some 50s TV commercials just for the heck of it. Because there aren't a lot of good quality, like higher definition drive-through. Why do I say drive-through? Drive-in ads. So Coco B says, Wonkins, the unofficial mascot of the Dispatch. I mentioned before I was trying to see if there was any way I could track them down. So, but I think because they actually had, I think if you sent in, it was the one canister lid from Wilkins Coffee and $1, you got Wilkins and Wonkins figures. I think they were vinyl figures. So, yes, I actually have tried to track them down, but there were a couple on eBay that were all beat to hell, and they wanted like $200. I was like, ooh, no. Kevin mentions, well, they had cigarette ads at the drive-in. Yes, they did. So, we're being consistent. All righty. So Kevin says, you've probably found every one of those ads on YouTube. I have. I think there's 2 I've shared that were on Vimeo or whatever. But yeah, for the most part, they're on YouTube. All righty then. So tonight, I am going to share my review and a bit of a page through of Call of Cthulhu, Cults of Cthulhu from Chaosium Inc. It's written by Chris Lackey, Mike Mason, and friends. This 366-page hardcover carries an MSRP of $49.99, which includes the PDF if you happen to purchase it from Chaosium. Or you can grab just the PDF alone over at DriveThruRPG for $24.99. Should also mention that there are some PDFs, some free PDFs that have material for this as well. So let's swing on over to the other camera, because here I've got Call of Cthulhu, Cults of Cthulhu. Few things to mention before we dive on in. First of all, fine folks over at Chaosium Inc. were kind enough to provide me with this review copy, but neither I nor anyone else affiliated with the gaming gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share this review with you. And these days, it's important that you know that. I'm also going to stay picture-in-picture up here, as I always do. So that means as we take a peek through the book, I'll be cutting off a little bit of the upper left portion of it. We're not going to look at each and every page, but I do want to give you a good feel for what's in Cults of Cthulhu. Also, there are 3 adventures within this book, taking up a good portion of the tome. So I'm going to stay spoiler-free, or as spoiler-free as I possibly can. But there might be some spoilers based on what we happen to see. So if you are a player hoping that your keeper is going to be utilizing Cults of Cthulhu, I would definitely probably recommend that you tune out now. And we'll see you next time. Or check out one of the over 1,800 other videos that are floating around on this channel. So let's take a look at the back here. I'm not going to read everything, but give you a little bit. At long last, the intricacies of the Cthulhu cult are revealed. Cults of Cthulhu guides you in the creation of complex and believable antagonists for your scenarios and campaigns. Villains who are more than just faceless minions and who embody the most terrifying threat of the Cthulhu mythos. Inside, you'll find a history of the Cthulhu cults from the Victorian era to the modern day, 5 Cthulhu cults ready to be incorporated into your games, detailed guidance on designing cults and their leaders, including a special cults worksheet, which is pretty cool. It's pretty wild. Profiles for a range of cultists, new monsters, new artifacts, and new spells, and 3 scenarios concerning Cthulhu cults, spanning Gaslight Victorian, modern day, and the signature 1920s setting. Cults of Cthulhu delves into the human side of the dark and horrific world of those who worship the dead yet dreaming abomination known as Great Cthulhu. Perkins Dearborn is with us, swinging on into chat, mentions that they own a lot of old Chaosium books. They are a cool alternative to Advanced Dungeons and Dragons and TSR stuff that typically ruled their game library. I had tons of Call of Cthulhu stuff. I probably had everything that came out in the first 10 years. Easy. And some of that is still over by my best friend Elliot Miller's house because he bought all of that from me way back in the day, simply because he wanted it for the nostalgia, because he enjoyed playing it so much. So I know he's got the 1-inch box, the original 1-inch box, but he doesn't have the rules. He doesn't have what was in it. So I don't know what happened with that. Because I know when he got it from me, it was in there. All right, we're going to jump on in here. So, few things that I do want to mention. We've got a lot of interior artists. And I apologize. I'm not going to read through all of them because I guarantee you I would butcher like 70% of these names. But I do want to make sure that we give some credit to the artists because the art within is excellent. If you have not been exposed to the 7th edition of Call of Cthulhu, I got to say, you're really missing out because it is just fantastic artwork. Production quality is top notch. I got to be honest, there has yet to be anything that I've reviewed for 7th edition Call of Cthulhu that I have not recommended. I mean, some things I've recommended much higher, much more strongly than others, but everything is just so well done. And kudos to Chaosium Inc. because those of you who are in the hobby and have been for a while, for years, know that there was a point in time that Chaosium was about ready to go under. And thankfully, that did not happen. Perkins says they have not run Call of Cthulhu as a GM or gotten to play it as a player. They've got the books and they've read them. Lovecraft is essential reading. And Perkins would love to play a game. Wow, that's amazing. You've got all that stuff and have never played? Man, it kind of making me sad. All right, so this tome is broken up into various different sections. We're going to actually start off with a history of the Cthulhu cult. Actually, beginning in essentially prehistory Sumeria and going all the way through into the modern day. One of the aspects of the book that I found pretty interesting is that we get all of these branches, I guess we'll say, of the various, well, I guess we'll say wings, right, of the Cthulhu cult. So the question becomes, are these all separate cults who happen to worship Cthulhu, or are they all part of the same cult? And the answer is, it's completely up to you, the keeper. If you want these all to be part of the same cult, or if you want them to all be just various different splinters that have broken off throughout the years. And I got to be very honest, I prefer that as opposed to it's all part of just one big cult, because they can all have conflicting goals and objectives. And I like that. I like running games where I have a lot of factions, competing against each other. Now, that doesn't mean that the player characters don't have allies, but I like when you've got like multiple different factions and some of them are clueless about the other factions as well. So then we get into our cults of Cthulhu. So we've got 5 different cults. 2 of them are from the Lovecraft stories. So we have the Elevated Order of Morpheus, which is Victorian age. This is Gaslight, England. So 1890s. And once again, like I said, I'm going to try to stay away from like major spoilers, but this cult is a bunch of rich nobles. It's almost been created as like a gentleman's club. So I got a kick out of that So we've got that. Then we've got, whoops, I think I skipped ahead. There we go. The Louisiana Swamp Cult, which is actually from Call of Cthulhu. This is the cult that Inspector, isn't it? Inspector LaGrasse? Isn't that the name? Forget it off the top of my head. That he encounters. So we get into detail about that. We also get example cultists, example members of the cult that you can utilize. And of course, we get stat blocks for them as well. So Perkins says that their longest running group over 10 years were stuck on 3rd edition D&D. After years, Perkins actually got to play as a PC once. Jeez. Yes, I got to be honest, I'm the forever game master too. So I feel everybody's pain out there. So as Kevin mentioned, if there's a reasonably priced local con, Perkins should go hit one up and play a bit. I'm right with you on that. I got to be honest. I'm going to reach out to Gary Con this year and maybe see about covering it. And if I remember right, I think it's in March off the top of my head. It's in Indiana. Oh, no, wait. Gary Con's up in Lake Geneva. There's another convention, another RPG convention that's in Indiana, not Gen Con, before anybody is like a wise ass out there. So, trying to remember the name of it. All right. Anyway, so we have the Louisiana cult. We've got the Society of the Angelic Ones. And we're going to see some of these, 3 of these cults in the adventures as well, including Society of the Angelic Ones. And this is 1920s. This is set out in LA. And essentially what they are is it's a cult that kind of takes advantage of the people come to Hollywood looking for fame and fortune. Granted, in the 1920s, it would have been Hollywood Land out in Los Angeles. So we've got that. And then we also have the Esoteric Order of Dagon, which is from Shadows over Innsmouth, which is one of my absolute favorite Lovecraftian tales. So we've got them. And then we'll have, and of course that's in the 20s as well, 20s, 30s. Then we have Church of Perfect Science. Science. Scientology. No. This is modern day. So this is modern. And this is like they masquerade as a self-help group. And tend to brainwash their members. Now, of course, each of these will get a section that talks about like adventure ideas, story ideas, kind of story nuggets, how the cult goes about recruiting members and things like that. We get a section here creating a Cthulhu cult, which is very interesting. And one of the main focuses is creating the leader, because you have to have I would say you need to have a villain, a lead villain who is going to really be the driving force when you're creating a cult. So that is one of the major aspects of creating the cult. There's actually stuff broken up throughout where it's talking about how does the cult finance itself? So there's a lot of stuff in here. I get a kick out of this because it's like, oh, Jonathan Frakes is a cultist. Wow. That certainly does look like Jonathan Frakes. We've got some random tables in here as well for creating our cult. So we get a little bit of an OSR vibe to the randomness of it as well. So we can break down the structure of the cult enemies of the cult, allies of the cult. Once again, like I said, how does the cult finance itself? Through legal and illegal means. Here are the flowcharts and worksheets. So here we've got our cult leader sheet, which is where you would create the person who is heading up that cult. Then we have a worksheet as well, and it discusses the goals, the structure, how many people are part of the cult, what are their resources, what are their like initiation rites and things like that. Very, very cool. I thought this was really, really well done and makes you really have to stop and think about how you utilize cults in your Call of Cthulhu adventures. Then we get some kind of stat blocks of kind of like typical cultists, like basic cultists. Get some new monsters. We get some new artifacts. We also have some new spells and variations of spells as well. And of course, I do want to point out that we also have the Pulp Cthulhu aspects to this also. So this is not just for Call of Cthulhu. You can easily utilize all of this for Pulp Cthulhu as well. Perkins says, I like how the game mechanic for cults is set up. Very good for prep. Yeah, and actually the kind of random tables are pretty interesting as well. So we get some new artifacts, some new like machines and things like that. And then we'll get into our trio of adventures, which are loosely tied together. So the first adventure is Loki's Gift, and this features the Elevated Order of Morpheus, which is that Victorian age cult. And it has to do with the performance of a play, which will have devastating effects. But no, it is not the play you're thinking. It is not the Yellow King or the King in Yellow. So we've got that adventure. Then we've got our 1920s adventure, Angel's Thirst, which takes place in Los Angeles. And this actually will have the LA cult that we were just taking a look at. And we also have some deep ones involved in this. We have gangsters in this. It's got a lot of the fun stuff that a lot of people enjoy mashing up in Call of Cthulhu games, especially 1920s and early 1930s. So Perkins says the layout and art is good too. Text is a bit tight in places. Solid pages of text is hard for them to read sometimes. There is a lot of, well, I should say there are a lot of images and breaks, page breaks, sidebars, things like that. So I could see that this could be a bit difficult to read, especially if you were reading a PDF. So, because yes, Perkins is right. There is some text density here. That's for sure. Kevin says the basic cultist that Eldritch brew they're drinking is not pumpkin spice. So, in Angel's Thirst, it is, as I mentioned, we've got deep ones, we've got gangsters, we've got a ritual that's going to be performed that the players need to stop. You know, all those, beats that we're used to in a Call of Cthulhu adventure. And it's really well done. It's actually my favorite of the three. My next favorite is the modern adventure, A God's Dream, which actually takes place in Chicago. And the references they make to Chicago are actually correct. Unlike that one adventure that I reviewed, where it was kind of like, Wait a second. What? No, that's not how that portion of Chicago is set up. So this is an adventure that is essentially something that we see a lot in Call of Cthulhu as well. Investigators are being brought in because someone has gotten in too deep with the mythos. And here, it's a self-help group because, yes, once again, we're going to be utilizing that modern era cult that we were taking a look at as well. Perfect Science. The adventures themselves are a good length. They are certainly going to last you a few sessions to get through it. So it's not as if any of these are just, one shots or single sessions, anything like that. The thread that ties them together, I'll be the first to point out, isn't the strongest. So I would probably use them standalone, which unfortunately, if you're not running Gaslight era or modern Call of Cthulhu, which we don't actually see a lot of modern stuff from Chaosium. So that adventure is welcome. That is for certain. You might not get as much value out of this as unless you're going to run all three interconnected. We get a short appendix regarding some of the inspiration and some of the movies like The Wicker Man, Rosemary's Baby. And then we get Cthulhu and Mythos tomes. And then we get our handouts. And the handouts are really, really well done, as we can expect from Chaosium as well. And as I mentioned before, there is some additional PDFs that you can download also. I got to point out, the actual articles, the handout articles, are well written also. So that's something kind of cool too, because sometimes they're not just, they don't read like an article you would find in a newspaper, even a newspaper from the 20s or 30s. All right. So we get an index and we've got our biographies, and that wraps up Call of Cthulhu, Cults of Cthulhu from Chaosium Inc. Swing on over to the other camera because I'm going to share some final thoughts as well as my review score. But first, I'm going to grab a quick sip here. As I opened up the review, I had pointed out how the 7th edition of Call of Cthulhu everything is just top notch. I mean, I have yet to run across anything released for this edition that I have not liked or that I can't make a recommendation. So no different here with Cults of Cthulhu, but there are a few things that I wish had been a little bit different. First of all, I don't mind it only focusing on the Cthulhu cult, but I probably would have preferred if this had just been cults in general. And the reason behind that is because so many of these cults are so different, and they're not that they don't operate on the same note, I guess I'll say. So it wouldn't have been that difficult to have made this volume more about just cults in Call of Cthulhu as opposed to the Cthulhu cult. Now, of course, yes, I get it. The Cthulhu cult is like the major cult. It's the big cult in the stories. It's the only thing that's mentioned more than once as far as, cultists and things like that in any of the Lovecraft stories. So keep that in mind. As far as the breakdown of each of the cults, I think it is really, really well presented and a lot of information there that's going to come in very, very handy. You can easily incorporate any one of the 5 cults into a current campaign that you happen to be running. Something else I really do like about this is that, for one, it's for a mature audience, and that kind of goes without saying for a horror role-playing game, but I don't know, maybe I guess it's got to be said, and it is pointed out right off the bat, first couple of pages in this, and that's something I appreciate with Chaosium, that I want to say what really stood out was the Berlin book, where it's kind of like, wow, it seems like the writers are actually tackling more mature adult themes. And I really appreciated it. I liked it a lot, because in the past, sometimes the Call of Cthulhu adventures would kind of approach more mature topics in kind of, I don't want to say childish, but not necessarily in a very adult way, or it would be approached in a gamey way, I guess we'll say. And that is not the case with 7th edition content and with the content in here as well. But once again, if you're overly sensitive, you've been warned. Anyway, the adventures are good. The Victorian age is all right. I especially like the 1920s, the Angel's Thirst adventure, and then the modern adventure in Chicago I like as well. All in all, there's a lot to recommend. Cults of Cthulhu. Another aspect that I really like about it is that you got to remember, these cultists are people. They're human beings. There's a reason why they've become cultists. And it's not just simply because they're insane. Something else I like about this is, at no point is it like, oh, well, this is what Cthulhu wants, and that's why Cthulhu's, influencing these people. No, never. And that's one of the points that's always been driven home about Call of Cthulhu is the great old ones are unknowable. They are not human. They have schemes and plans and needs that nobody has any idea what they could possibly be, and they're pretty much unfathomable for human beings, and that is the case here. And I also kind of get a kick out of how the leaders of these cults, they're expecting something, obviously enough. They're expecting to receive something for their sacrifices and for running the cult and things like that. And what they think they're getting may not necessarily be what they're getting in the end, which is kind of a Lovecraftian thing as well. All in all, really, really do like this. Once again, as I mentioned, I wish it just was all about cults, period, not the Cthulhu cult. But outside of that, I really don't have any major quibbles with this at all. So on a scale of 0 to 10, I give Cults of Cthulhu a very high recommendation, an 8.5 out of 10. I think it is that good. I don't think it's essential that every keeper needs to own this. But if you are a keeper who incorporates cults and actually wants to really flesh them out and make them more believable and far less one-note villains or mustache-twirling villains, then I would definitely recommend you pick up Cults of Cthulhu for Call of Cthulhu from Chaosium Inc. Alrighty then. So that is that review. So on Monday's show, I am going to be reviewing the Southlands Player's Guide. So yes, we are going through the Southlands releases that the fine folks over at Kobold Press had sent along. We also have our Book of Ibn Tides that I'm tackling with those releases as well. So this will be Monday's show. On Tuesday, I'll be reviewing Gran Mechanismo. They actually rolled off the tongue that time, from Osprey Press. And then on Wednesday's show, I'll be reviewing the Hyperborea Referee's Manual from Northwind Adventures. And of course, don't forget, each and every day throughout the month of October, there's a brand new review on thegaminggang.com. Some might be written reviews, some might be video reviews, but each and every day there is a new review all throughout October. Of course, on every episode of the Gaming Gang Dispatch this month, we are taking a peek at role-playing games. So it's role-playing games all month long. And most of the videos are reviews as well. And don't forget, every evening at 9 p.m. Central, stop by thegaminggang.com for a brand new entry into the Gaming Gang October Spooktacular, as I share spooky old-time radio shows with you. Yeah, with a bit of an intro and outro provided by yours truly. And of course, if you missed last night's, you got to check it out. The thing on the forward board on Quiet Please. It is scary stuff. I said it last night. I say it during the show. In my opinion, it's the scariest radio program I have ever heard, especially the end. So if you haven't checked it out, give it a listen. All right, that's it for this time out. If you like this video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, ding that bell. It'll not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday evenings at 7 p.m. Central right here on YouTube. It'll also let you know when I upload other videos such as the upcoming 900th review on the Gaming Gang. Yes, the Call of Cthulhu boxed set. The Call of Cthulhu classic box set, I should say. Yes, of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more that you won't find here on the YouTube channel. Also want to mention the 50/50 sale, which benefits Extra Life for Kids, will be kicking off this weekend. I am not positive if it's going to be Saturday or Sunday. As I mentioned earlier in the show, I've been doing a lot of work on it, getting stuff ready, taking photographs, things like that. And if you are a fan of role-playing games, there are over 80 role-playing game entries in the sale. And of course, half of what comes in is going to be donated to Extra Life for Kids. All righty then. If you were watching live, thank you very kindly. Always appreciate it. If you took part in chat, extra experience points for you, because not only do you keep me company, you keep each other company as the stream is going on. But of course, I know everybody out there isn't able to watch this live. Doesn't matter if you're watching live or on Memorex. Thank you very much. I certainly appreciate each and every one of you taking time out of your busy lives to watch any of the videos on the Gaming Gang channel. Everybody enjoy the rest of the week. Have a great weekend. I will be back on Monday. And here's hoping each and every one of you gets to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.
And now, folks, it's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.
Oh, hey, you're still here. Well, that's okay. You don't have to leave just yet. In fact, why don't you subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel right here, or take a peek at the latest live stream, or even find out what YouTube recommends you check out from the channel. And of course, I'm Jeff McAleer. Thanks again for watching.